Hello everyone, welcome back to our Indian economy series in which we are going to cover entire Indian economy for your examination. So let's get started. Today's topic is structure of Indian economy. So when we talk about structure, India is a developing country. Okay, it comes in the category of developing country. What are developing countries? These countries are also known as underdeveloped nations or the South, which are somewhere or the other they are lagging behind. So countries of Asia, Africa and Latin America comes in the category of developing country, and India is one of the developing country. Fine. According to UN experts, a developing country is that in which per capita income is low when compared to the per capita incomes of USA, Canada, Australia and Western Europe. So to set the bar to compare, we have countries of USA, Canada, Australia, so that we can compare our incomes with that of their incomes. Okay, now let's talk about number one topic, the land reforms. What was land reforms and why it was introduced? So in the narrow sense, land reforms means redistribution of property rights in the land for the benefits of smaller farmers. What we are doing? We are distributing land. What we are doing? We are dividing land so that small farmers and agricultural laborers can get benefit of it. In the larger sense, land reforms include two types of institutional changes. One is agrarian relations between the small farmers and the big farmers to improve the relation between them, and the other one is to increase the unit of cultivation, the size and the unit of cultivation. Okay, so what were the major land reforms? Number one was abolition of intermediaries, means zamindars. Zamindars here means middlemen. So to collect the revenue, there was peasant had to give to zamindars, and zamindars were responsible to give the state. So what happened in earlier times, zamindar used to take the large amount of revenue and keep it in their pocket and pass on to their states very less amount. So state thought that agricultural production is very low, revenue is extremely very low. So this was removed. So directly peasants had to give to the state. So it involved intermediary levels removal or the layers of various parasitic groups in the land between the state and the actual cultivators. Such abolition of intermediaries involved compensation to the owners of the land as well, and as a result 2.5 crore farmers were brought into direct relationship. So what was the aim? The question can be asked, what was the aim of abolition of zamindari system? It was nothing but to improve the direct relation with the state. Okay, so this facilitated distribution of 61 lakh hectare land into the landless farmers. So we distributed 61 lakh land into the landless farmers so that they can cultivate, they can produce, and then they can earn money and livelihood. Then second was the tenancy reforms. Tenancy legislation were divided into three. What will be the rent, the tenure, like from what period the land is given to you and how much rent was fixed, and conferring the rights of the ownership of the tenants. Then comes land sealing on the land holdings to reduce the existing disparities in the patterns of land ownership and make some land available for the distribution to the landless agriculture workers. The second 5-year plan recommended the imposition of the sealings. So some part of land was sealed and other part of land could be used for any purposes. So this was land sealing. Next was consolidation of land holdings. So the fragmented and the subdivided land holdings, they were brought together and they have made Indian agriculture unremunerative. So what happened? All of the divided land, fragmented, the scattered land, they got together, they came together, and these was necessary to boost the efficiency and the economy in India's agriculture. It has completed in the states of Punjab, Haryana and UP. Okay. So these were the major land reforms that you have to remember. What were the purposes, what were the aim of land reforms. The next topic that comes under this only is LPG reforms. Second major change that was introduced in Indian economy was LPG reforms, which stands for liberalization, privatization and globalization. So originally the idea was given by Rajiv Gandhi. The idea was given by Rajiv Gandhi, okay, during his term of Prime Minister, and he called it as structural adjustment program. So this was known as structural adjustment program, SAP, by Rajiv Gandhi. But what happened in the year 1991? Congress was re-elected, but Rajiv Gandhi died. He was assassinated, and then Prime Minister PV Narasimha Rao introduced it. He was the Prime Minister in 1991. He took this challenge in his own hands, and he took the responsibility of introduction of structural adjustment program, which came to be known as LPG reforms. So who was the Prime Minister? Prime Minister was PV Narasimha Rao. And question is popularly can be asked that who was the Finance Minister of that time? Who was the Finance Minister of that time? The Finance Minister was Manmohan Singh. Okay. Originally the idea was given by Rajiv Gandhi. As I said, Rajiv Gandhi gave the idea of LPG reforms known as structural adjustment program. Okay, but later when he died and PV Narasimha Rao became the Prime Minister, for convenience he termed it as LPG. So it stands for liberalization, privatization and globalization, introduced under new economic policy of 1991, where India approached international banks for the development of the country, and these agencies asked Indian government to open its restrictions on the trade done by the private sector between India and other countries as well. So what is LPG? L stands for liberalization, N to those restrictions which became hindrance. Hindrance means hurdles in the development and growth of the nation. Basically liberal here means free. What you are freeing from? Freeing from restrictions, loosening of government control and private sector companies. So the strict control was changed to lenient control of the government. So strict regulation were being very lenient. So it was like comparatively liberal in terms of governance. Then privatization here means the second of the three policy is the increment of the dominating role of the private sector. So earlier everything was under the control of the state, but here through privatization many industries were open to the private players. Like if you have money, you can set up your own industry and earn money. Okay, reduce the role of public sector companies, and in the other words it is the reduction of the ownership of the management of the government owned enterprises. So whatever the government was selling the shares of the company and private sector took the control. Fine. Then the last one, which is still very relevant, everything is happened because of globalization. It means to integrate the economy of one country with the global economy, and during globalization the main focus is on foreign trade private. So globalization here means flow. Flows of what? People, ideas, opinions, beliefs, everything. And keyword here is worldwide interconnectedness. The world is interconnected with each other. Whatever happening in USA is aware to you, whatever happening in international relations, you are aware of it. Okay, so this was the last policy of the LPG, and it has a very complex phenomena because it is not only in social, it is in social, economic, cultural, in every possible course of action, and it transforms the world or towards independence, integration of the world as a whole, setting up the strategic policy, and it is creating a borderless world, because your ideas can be communicated in other world and there is no border. So through social media something your ideas can be spread to the parts of USA, Middle East, etc., wherein the need of one country can be driven from across the globe and turning into a large economy. Then let's talk about the human indicators. Number one, first and the foremost, is the poverty. What is poverty? In Hindi it means garibi. So what constitutes this poverty? So it means deprivation. When you are deprived, when you are not being given basic necessities like low incomes, inability to acquire the basic goods and services which is necessary for your survival with dignity. In that case you are poor. There are two types of poverty: absolute poverty, where the entire household incomes is below a certain level, which makes it impossible for the person or family to meet the basic needs of life, including food, shelter, safe drinking water, education, healthcare. Then in the state of poverty, even if the country is growing economically, it has no effect on people living below the poverty line. So absolute poverty compares household based on a set income level, and this level varies from one country to another depending upon its overall economic condition. So absolute poverty, where the entire household income is below certain level and there is like extremely scarcity of the basic food, basic shelter, basic drinking water, education, healthcare. Okay. Now second concept comes relative poverty. Second concept comes of relative poverty, where the entire household receives 50% less than the average household income. So they have some money, but still in absolute there is no money, but in relative there is some money, but still it is not appropriate to have the basic needs. Then there is poverty line, which divides two categories: above poverty line and the below poverty line. So this is the conventional approach of measuring poverty. Number one is the calorie basis, second is the income basis. So as per the calorie, if you are rural, if you are living in rural areas, you have to consume 2400 calories a day, and your consumption expenditure must be 49% rupees per capita, and if you are in urban areas you have to consume 2100 calories per day. Okay, so these are the poverty alleviation programs introduced by government. You have to remember the purpose and the year and the name. Number one, integrated rural development program, extending loans to the beneficiaries so that they can purchase assets, which was introduced in 1979. Number second, PDS system, public distribution system, which was introduced to provide food grains to the people so that they can afford. Then comes midday meal scheme, very famous scheme to improve nutritional status of the children, providing free food daily up to class 8th in schools, government aided schools, introduced in 1995. Then national family benefit system, financial compensation provided to kin in the case of natural death or the below poverty line, 1995. So if the breadwinner, who is the head of the family, who is earning, if he or she dies, then in that case you have to introduce then the compensation will be available. Then next, national old age pension scheme, a pension scheme for the people of old age in the year 1995. Fine. Then the very famous scheme Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MNREGA, which provides employment of 100 days in the rural areas. So it is 100 days paid employment which was introduced in 2006. Then Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana to ensure financial inclusion. Everyone is included in the financial procedure and by ensuring access to the financial services in an affordable manner, introduced in 2014. Okay, next is Pradhan Mantri Gramin Awas Yojana. It's like a housing scheme providing pakka houses, introduced in 2017. Then the second economic indicator is unemployment. Unemployment occurs when a person who is actively searching for employment is unable to find work. I am educated, I am capable enough to work, but I am unable to find the jobs. So defined as a situation in a person which is capable of working both physically and mentally at the existing wage rate but doesn't get a job to work. That condition is known as unemployment. So what are the types of unemployment? Number one is disguised unemployment. So disguised unemployment means where people employed are more than the actual needed. For example, if I am working in the organization, I just require 5 people to do every work, but there are 10 people there. So I am paying 5% extra. I don't need those 5 people, but still they are employed. In that situation, the extra 5 are disguisedly unemployed. So it traced in the unorganized sector or the agriculture sector. So in organized sector, you will find lesser number of disguised unemployment. It is more relevant in the unorganized sector and the agriculture sector. Second is structural unemployment. This unemployment arises when there is a mismatch between the workers' skills and availability of the job. Many people in India do not get job matching to their skills, or because they lack required skills, they do not get job because of the poor education level. So it becomes important to provide them related training. Fine. So this is structural employment where the job here is doesn't match your skills and your capabilities. Then third is seasonal unemployment. You will be employed as per the season. If the season is not there, if the season is off season, you will be totally unemployed. So that is seasonal unemployment, when people do not have work during the certain seasons of the year. Okay, so that is seasonal unemployment. The next is cyclic unemployment. Unemployment caused due to the business cycle where the number of unemployed heads rises during the recession and declines with the growth of economy. Cyclic unemployment figures. So in India we cannot find it because it depends on the business cycle. Then mostly in India we find frictional unemployment. This is a situation where people are unemployed for a short span of time because I am willingly resigned from a job because I was not find interesting and I am searching for a new job. So that in that period I will be frictionally unemployed. Okay, so it is also known as search employment. It is like the time lag between the jobs and it is considered as voluntary unemployment because the reason here is that I voluntarily choose not to work. Okay? And it is not because of the shortage of job, because workers quit themselves in the search of the better opportunities. Then comes next indicator is the population census. So in 1872, Lord Mayo, he was the British Viceroy, he conducted the first census in India. Then Lord Ripon in 1881 started doing the census every decade, means every 10 years. Then in Constitution Union List 69 Census Act comes under the Home Ministry, and there is a Registrar General and Census Commissioner who is responsible for conducting the census. Then in 2000 a national population policy was introduced. Then 11 July is celebrated as National Population Day. So achieve stable population by 2045. India's population growth rate, age pyramid composition should remain stable. Encourage family planning, use of contraceptives, save abortions, HIV control. All these are the key features of this population policy. Next indicator is health. Next indicator here is health. So currently there is 2.5% rise increase in the public expenditure of the GDP, and according to the National Health Policy 2017, when then we are able to transform the health and the wellness sector. Then setting up National Digital Authority of India, Digital Health Authority of India, to encourage telemedicine, remote evaluation of the X-rays. So everything is like consultation is done digitally. Then generic drugs, cheap medical devices, make in India, alternative medicinal, HIV AIDS achieve global targets of 2020, also termed as 1990. Then HIV Prevention Act ends AIDS by 2030, prevent discrimination against HIV positive persons. And 1st December is observed as World AIDS Day. National AIDS Control Organization is the nodal body, and we are here also to eliminate non-communicable diseases. Then comes National Health Mission. There are two types: communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases. Communicable, which can be spread from one person to another person through physical contact. There are non-communicable diseases which cannot be communicated, like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, blindness, tobacco, etc. So these are communicable and the non-communicable diseases. And the last health indicator is the education. So education is basically, it's your fundamental right under Article 21A of the Constitution, added by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. So it is a fundamental right to have education. It is your right. Till the age of 14 you will be getting free and compulsory education if your parents cannot afford it, and it is a fundamental duty of your parents or your guardian, so that you can provide education, so that you are getting education. Then in 2004 Union created a non-lapsable fund which is known as Prarambhik Shiksha Kosh, which will receive funds from the education cess, which is levied on a direct taxes. Then to implement this, RTE Act was introduced, Right to Education Act, including 25% reservation to economically weaker section of the society in the private schools. And later, in 2001, PM Vajpayee introduced Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan to universalize education in India. Then 2020 National Education Policy, let's talk about the history. So this is the third policy recommended by K. Kasturi Ranjan Committee, and the first policy was introduced in 68, second policy was introduced in 1986, and this is the third new education policy with the revised provisions and all that as per the needs of today's century. So this was all about your all health indicators. See you in the next lecture everyone. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.